Hey guys, it's TFNet. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. It's going to be a bit of an older figure here. This is going to be of the Medicom MAFEX figure number 185, Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man. This is the newer version that was released sometime at the end of last year, I believe. It was kind of supposed to be released around the same time as Scarlet Spider, but that figure, newer figures like that usually get a lot of delays, and this is pretty much a reuse of the original, even though these have more matte and brighter colors on this one here compared to the original that had darker and more metallic colors on that particular figure. Also, this figure here does not include the unmasked head, unfortunately, but Scarlet Spider, the new one, doesn't have that either, and I missed out on the Ben Reilly Spider-Man and the previous Spider-Mans and a lot of stuff from MAFEX and the Spider-Man line. I missed out on a lot of stuff, but I guess there's no better time than now to get some stuff that's still in stock. And I waited on this for a while, but I did get this around the same time as Scarlet Spider from Amiami when they finally went out of back order and finally got back in stock on different places. So glad to finally have it. You've been looking at the 360 packaging here. A little bit of a shorter box compared to the little bit wider box that we usually get in the MAFEX line, but all the printing and design choices on this box are fantastic. Here is the figure out of the box, giving you a 360 look. I think that this looks really fantastic, and I am very glad to finally own a MAFEX Spider-Man. Some very slight issues here, but other than that, this is great. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a close look at the figure. Now, if you own the previous MAFEX comic Spider-Man, you kind of know what to expect in terms of accessories. This is a different head sculpt, a masked head sculpt, where this is, the one that is packaged on the figure is a little bit more wider eyes compared to what I'm holding in my left hand right here. These both these heads do look good. I do wish that we got like an extra head that was more of like a classic Ramita style head. I've seen some ones floating online, whether it be Instagram or eBay, that I've missed out on, and some of those custom head sculpts look fantastic. Maybe I'll get one in the future if anyone makes one. This looks really good though. The white meeting on the black and the black meeting on the red, all of that is separate sculpting going on there, and all that paint in the eyes. It's very clean. A little bit of red bleeding onto the black here. There's a lot of really nice web lines, like just not only sculpted but painted in here. Hasbro, take notes. But also, like some of it is not super consistent. It breaks up here. Some parts are more faded, like around here and on the back of the head, compared to like towards the neck and the side of the face and the mouth, where it's a lot more prominent. You can see a lot of that wash going on the inside there. But overall, this is still a really nice head sculpt. Very cool. Thank goodness that these figures come with these hand little trees or whatever they are, so I can hold this easy and show you that we have wall crawling hands right here with some web line. All of them are done in a similar fashion where there's a lot of web lines sculpted on here, and they've tried to paint some, webs in those lines, but again, it looks more faded in some areas. Whereas if you look at like the fingers, it's really prominent there. And while I do think it looks good, it looks a little heavy in some parts, but still rather nice. But the overall sculpting on there, man, those are really cool. And then we have these wall crawling hands right here. You get to look at what the inside of the palms looks like with that web detailing. Very nicely, intricately detailed stuff going on here with all these different web lines and all that. That's really sick. We also have relaxed hands here, similar to the wall crawling hands. You can see how the palms look right there. Well, again, a little bit of a wash in some areas, a little bit less consistent on some parts, like the back of this hand here, but it's pretty consistent on the left hand there. And then we do have flippers right there, looking rather nice. Pretty heavy wash work going on around the palms, but it's not, too bad. It's to my liking, actually. And then we have magnetized feet and magnetized hands. If you saw my Scarlet Spider review recently, or have seen any MAFEX Spider-Man review, I think almost any at this point, lots of metal pieces going on with these alternate pieces. If you have a metal surface, even though these are a little bit more of a weaker type of magnet, you should be able to hang on to some things if you have some support as well. And you can see how some of the detailing looks like that as well. Now we do have some web blast effects. We have these that go around the arms. If I can even focus up there, because the The light is a little too heavy. But this here is a smaller web blast. I have the other one right here, and you get to see how it's just a very bright white, and you do have all of the nice strands going on there, and this would hook around the wrists when you remove the hand, of course. So that's nice. And then we do have two of these medium size, well, they're the longer, I guess, of the web blasts. You see how those strands look on there as well. Similar thing, you just pop the hands off and you wrap these around the wrist. Now, if you saw the Scarlet Spider review on my channel recently, you do see that we got two of these type of web pieces with that, but we only get one here. This is an L shape where the handle's right here, and then a long strand of web going on here, which is a little bit warped on this end here. But if we zoom in a little bit, and I try to focus up, but again, the white's kind of hard to see, you can see a lot of nice web strands once again, and all of that is really sick. I feel like this is pretty long compared to the Scarlet Spider one, but I could be wrong, and this could be the exact same sculpt, or they retooled it and they made it a little bit different with Scarlet Spider. Last but not least, with the web effects, we have this one here with this like cup piece right here. It's a very long piece. You can grab it right here. Long web strands once again with just this one white color. And you do see this like almost like hexagonal pattern all around here with the webs, you know, but you do have this port right here. We do get this soft, not soft, this clear plastic piece that plugs right in there. Now this, to me, looks like it goes into the, you know, the stand, of course. And then you could probably remove this, and if you have like adjustable neck pieces for the stand, you could probably go on that too. And speaking of, this is what the piece looks like assembled, you know, that base that we get with a lot of MAFEX figures. As you see, we do have the adjustable neck system with some different cradles going on there. So you have some C-grips to grab onto the figure. You have different ports on the base, and you also have a long stick piece for holding cradles as well. Once again, if you own any previous MAFEX Spider-Man, you know what's going on here. This is a really nicely detailed piece here. This particular head and the alternate head is very Todd McFarlane-esque when it comes to that artwork. Very cool looking. We can maybe, hopefully, if the camera stays stable, zoom in here. And a similar problem with that unmasked head, even though I think it's actually a little bit worse here. It fades a lot with the web lines going on here, but it's more prominent around the neck and around the face. Again, I do really like the protruding details of the eyepieces there. The actual sculpting is really clean of the web lines. This is some of the best web line sculpting I've seen on a Spider-Man figure like ever. Very cool. You do get some of that detailing on the back of the neck as well. I might need to darken it just a little bit. I think that is actually like the brightness here right now is about how it looks in person. So I say that because I wanted you guys to see just how much more consistent shading and a wash is going on in the web lines on like the chest and the back here. Yeah, that is fantastic. There really is no complaints there. Again, they've balanced, you know, sculpting the web lines with the paint in there while also nailing the musculature going on in there. Small spider logo looking great. Back spider logo also looking nice. This light blue comes through really nice. It's a little splotchy though for some things. Now, is that just a paint flake or is there something going on in the actual? Okay, so there I thought there was some blue where my thumbnail was just now. It's a little splotchy here, and I think that's honestly the worst of it. That is a bit disappointing, but it is a little bit hard to notice, so there's that. But the actual like rib cage sculpted on there, I don't know why there's this weird whatever's going on with this part of the plastic. I guess this is where they have to like seam things together. It's not as bad as like with some Marvel Legends. I just want to say that, but it is noticeable. It does also look like there's a little bit more blue going on to the red as you see there because of how that black outline comes through. So, unfortunately, not perfect when it comes to the QC. This is really not too bad, though. You really have to look close to see a lot of what's going on. The musculature mixed in again with the web lines. All that looks great. The way that the shoulders look. They've continued some of that in this butterfly joint piece going on in there. Inside bicep, I guess, would be there. Bicep and tricep, I guess. But like that inner arm also has some really good muscular details going on there. And then you have the softer blue details meeting with the more web, details going on there. If I can even form a sentence. Fists also look really fantastic. It looks like there's more of a wash in this one than that one, so it can look a little inconsistent. That's really my biggest complaint with the figure, besides some of these paint splotches, that some parts of this are just not that consistent, but you gotta look hard to see what is inconsistent. Most of it blends in pretty well together around the stomach, a little bit of shading towards the belly button too. That's what the back looks like, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is a protruding detail, which you can kind of tell. Same thing with that spider logo. Everything else, you get down to more muscular details and more smoothness. The way this crotch piece looks, you got spider butt right there, and again, some more muscles with some bright blue, mostly painted in there, but there is like this nice layer of blue going on in here. The blue actually looks good, whereas sometimes with companies like, let's say, I don't know, Tamashii Nations, with some of their SH Figure Arts figures, they will just mostly stick with one basic color to mold to. Not that it looks bad, but they actually put in some paint, some matte paint for this. Some blue bleeding onto the boots, unfortunately, but a little bit right there too. Not as bad though. Again, actually a pretty consistent wash going on with the shins, with the webs on here. Right here above the ankle though, it's a little inconsistent, but it's fine. And then this is what the system looks like here with the ankle. It kind of does look weird when you move it around because of that smooth joint going on there. They did this thing similar with Scarlet Spider and some other MAFEX figures where they have this sculpted piece to cover this little joint right there. They don't do it on the inside because then that just really constrict. They may be able to do that actually, because you can get pretty good range of motion when you rotate like this, but I don't think they want to risk constricting articulation, I guess. But this being smooth and breaking up the web detailing is not that big of a deal to me. Down to the boot, or the feet, I should say. Lots of nice web details going on there. Bottom, there's not really much going on right there. You guys have to see a 360 of this earlier. I'll back out just a little bit so you can get a better idea of how this looks. And while I do that, actually, I don't own Black Suit Spider-Man, but I do own my Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider I just reviewed on the channel. Some parts seem, between those three, from what I've seen, again, I don't own the Black Suit Spider-Man, but from what I've seen with that, and then having these two in person, they definitely are reusing parts. Namely, the upper thighs here, the musculature is the exact same. Guess what? They're clones of the same person, so I expected that. It completely makes sense, and they made it look good to begin with. It seems like, so they made this first. It seems like, and I could be wrong, they sculpted all this with the web lines in there, and then went back to slightly to the drawing board when it's time for Black Suit Spider-Man, made all this smooth and retooled it, so that way it's more of a consistent musculature, and then they would reuse it for Scarlet Spider here, because it's an all smooth outfit. But again, if there is any reuse between any of those figures, I completely understand, because again, they are the exact same person, and they did a good enough job with the sculpting there to begin with. And of course, articulation on this thing is really good if you're not familiar with it. The neck and head, all of that has a lot of ball joints going on and dumbbell joints, so the tilt, fantastic. The combined range of motion going all the way up is fantastic. Down, really good too. And then all that rotation is really, really good. We do have a ball joint going on all the way around here. Hopefully parts won't scuff up too bad. I don't think it's going to be as bad as like an SH Figure Arts or Figma. And then you do get all the way around motion going on there. It can actually drop down a little bit too. And then that's how it looks with all that range of motion combined going all the way out. That is fantastic. Yes, the red breaks up the blue a little bit, but it was kind of expected. Like maybe you could have made that a blue joint, but then that would be distracting, so it's whatever. Upper arm swivel, you do get double jointed elbows there. the wrists might be an issue in terms of how stiff they are. Mine aren't too bad. Actually, they move around pretty well. They hinge like this, and then you swivel, and then you can make them go up and down. Actually wants to pop out a little bit. So, but I feel like people who have gotten this exact version and then the previous of this with the more darker colors, those wrist joints were a little bit fragile, so just be careful no matter what. That combined range of motion in the torso with ball joints, this is as far as it wants to go. That is really great. Far forward could be, actually, I was going to say it could be better, but that's really good. And then, of course, swiveling with that, all that swiveling, there is lots to go on there. Drop down system going on here, which can kick out all the way like that. That is pretty insane, actually. And then the back, kind of, if you use the drop down, you know, that is what the range of motion there is like. Almost a perfect split. That pops out. Seems like Scarlet Spider has a better thigh swivel compared to this one here. I'll try to pop that back in earlier. But this side here is way better. Then we get to the double jointed knee right there. Swivel at the ankle. Again, it could be a little bit hindered right there. It actually pops off easily too, which is good because if you want to use the alternate feet. Down, up, ankle rocker, toe hinge. Measuring out the figure before its size comparisons, we are looking pretty close to 15.5 centimeters. And that's going to put that right around 6 inches. I have some different Spider-Man figures from different companies. Right next to him on the left, the new MAFEX Scarlet Spider. They're going to be around the same height. I think Scarlet Spider might be just ever so slightly taller. And then next to the SH Figure Arts Amazing Spider-Man, that's going to be a little bit shorter. I forgot to do some Marvel Legends comparisons. So on the left, that is the Retro Spidey from 2020. On the right, that is last year's Amazing Fantasy 15 Spidey. You can see that they all fit and scale pretty well with each other. So Marvel Legends and MAFEX will be pretty compatible. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to take photos for this particular review. I do apologize. You'll just be looking at the one image for a little bit. But a lot of you know what's going on with this figure with the different features, articulation, detailing, and all of that. You know how good this figure is. I highly recommend it if you didn't have it by now. A lot of you have known just how good it is ever since the very first release back in like 2018, 2019. Not to detract from the amazing Yamaguchi 2.0 Spider-Man that's just been released, because that does look like a fantastic figure. But if you want something that has some proportions that you're a little bit more used to, since they take some pretty big creative liberties with the amazing Yamaguchi line in terms of proportions, I do recommend this for your high-end Spider-Man. I do think that some of the paint apps on my particular figure could be a little bit better, but looking at the figure far away, all of it really blends in together to where you really can't tell at this point. There really isn't any other problem with my figure. The articulation, the sculpting, the detailing, all of it, the way that they've just overall molded this thing, as well as the different accessories, it is a fantastic piece. I think maybe I could have gone with a classic head, would have been nice. But other than that, it's awesome. It's a little bit cheaper compared to the original price of the first one, since it doesn't come with the unmasked parts. This is closer to like 80 to 85 bucks, depending on where you get it. Big Bad Toy Store will probably be more expensive, but I got it on Amiami. I think it's also still on HobbyLink Japan, so good luck if you're still in the market to get this particular figure. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think of the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.